どうしてそのことに、その矛盾とかに気づき始めたんでしょうか。その辺をお話しください。
It's not so easy to answer because the lies are so big and it depends on what kind of lies. Obviously, we could not know about the COVID lie before 2020 because it wasn't around. So I only had to learn very quickly in the first half of 2020 that it is all a big lie. When it comes to the CO2 lie, i.e., that man-made CO2 will overheat the planet 80 years from now, according to some not consistent models by the World Climate Council. It took a while. That lie has been around since the 1980s, actually. It took off in around 2009 with the Copenhagen Climate Treaty Conference. Then there was Paris 2015, where that lie really was established all over the media. I myself did not believe it since 2009, but some people still believe it to this very day, including some of our party members. So it is a very big lie. But my party actually has had for 10 years now a contradictory view in its programs. So we are against that lie. We don't swallow it any longer, and as a consequence, we do not swallow the energy policies that go along with that. So that I would say you could understand the CO2 lie as early as 15 years ago already. What other lies do we have? I mean, what do you want to talk about? When it comes to the financial system, which is my area of specialization, I believe that in 1971, when the dollar link to gold has been broken by President Nixon, was a very difficult year, because from then on we are living now in an unprecedented worldwide experiment where currencies are no longer based to anything, which is the first time in human history that this has happened. Money almost somewhere in the world has been linked to gold or silver, and this is not the case since 1971. And we're seeing the consequences, especially huge debt, indebtedness of the world. I know that in Japan you know what I'm talking about, because you are actually world master in indebtedness. Japan has, I think, in the meantime, 260% of your gross domestic product is debt, which is really the highest number all over the world. It is very special that you can still sustain that. It has something to do that Japan is indebted with its own citizens and not abroad, which makes things easier. But now that the interest rates are rising in Japan too, as all over the world, you will become a big problem in the budget, don't you?
なるほど。確かにそうですね。
I know this is boring stuff, and I'm not sure if your audience is interested, but it is a very difficult topic because Japan is at the forefront of that development. I believe in the meantime, almost 30% of your national budget go to debt payments, which is even more than Germany has, even more than France and the US have. That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But generally, it is not different to what we're experiencing and what the US are experiencing, but you're a few years ahead of us.
それは本当に大変ですよね。
本当ね。で、ピーターさんは専門家としての金融の経験があったので、裏で実際にね、何が起こっているのかということについて、よりその方面から意識するようになったということでしょうか。
Yes, I would say so, because the financial system is the root cause of so many problems, not all of them, but most of them. And many lies in our world are ultimately a consequence of the lie in the financial system. You cannot sustain a non-rooted financial system forever. An exponential curve ultimately becomes too steep. It's no longer sustainable. And we are in that moment at that moment when things become really steep, especially the interest payments and the indebtedness. And there are two limits to those curves. The first is interest payments, as I just have explained. And the second is mass psychology. If too many people talk about and understand the financial system and the consequences, the non-sustainability of it, and then things can become pretty quick. And one of the reasons why the rising gold price is that more and more people do understand, even though it's still probably a very small minority of less than 5% who already understand. If it becomes 10 or 20%, then the gold price will rise even further and faster. And I know that in Japan, in yen terms, the gold ounce is at record highs again.
この世界ではですね、強力なグローバルエリートたちが支配権を握ってですね、金融的にもですよね。で、自分たちのやり方で世界を統一しようとしてると思うんですよ。そしてピーターさんの党 AfD は明らかにそれに反対していますよね。で、今多くの人々がそれに気づいて AfD を支持し投票をしたわけです。で、ドイツで何がこの状況で起こっていると見ていますか？
The credibility of the ruling parties, and that's almost all of them but us. It is the conservative CDU, the Christian CDU, Democrat. They call themselves Christian Democrats, but they are not Christian in any way. They all have become almost leftists these days. Then we have the official Social Democrats. We have the very leftists, the communists in the Bundestag. We have the Green Party, and that's about it. They have all been ruling over the last decades since 1949, and their credibility is really getting lost by the day. So today we are in the polls around 25%. I believe we will be around 30% in 2 years latest, maybe 3 years. And as of 35%, it's almost impossible to govern Germany without us. So we will become a ruling party. The only problem is what will the state of Germany look like? In what state will Germany be? What will we inherit from the others? And that's what I'm fearing. It'll not be possible to stop us with that crap and those lies about us, that those are rightists, those are radicals, those are extremists. That'll not work any longer because people don't swallow it any longer. And as soon as 30% don't swallow it any longer, probably more than that, more than 30% already, and 30% voting for us, you can't just credibly claim that we are radicals without ridiculing yourself. So that will no longer be working. I believe 3 or 4 years from now latest. If the crisis kicks in, the economic crisis quicker than that, it might be even quicker. So if we talk 4 years from now, you can remember my words, and I believe that things will look dramatically different. The only problem is we cannot solve the problems that had been created based on those lies for decades now. We would probably need at least 5 years to really, or maybe 10 years with absolute power to change things again. And unfortunately, when it comes to immigration, a few things are irreversible. We just could not redo an immigration of 8 or 10 million people who just do not culturally fit in the German society. That's our main problem. In that respect, I can only recommend to Japan try and stop that immigration, because I believe you are at least 20 or 25 years behind us in that respect, and be glad you are behind us. You say it's a problem now in Japan, but compared to Europe, it's still a small problem. I think you can still stop the tide. For us, it's really late.
そうなんです。だから私たちも頑張ってるんです。
ね、そう本当そうで、だからということで移民政策によって多くの人が本当の問題とか国が破壊されているということに気づくきっかけになったということですよね。
犯罪率は上がってるんですよね。
My party was founded as an opposition party against the European Union because we feared that sovereign rights of nation states of Germany would be taken away by the European Union, which is a supranational entity above the nation states. We were against that. But already in 2015, unfortunately, our Chancellor Angela Merkel at the time, that was exactly 10 years ago, almost to the date, abandoned German borders she just gave it up. And that's the reason why we have completely different numbers of immigration and have had it for 10 years now. So many people did wake up at the time and since then, because as Kumiko just said, yes, crime rates have gone up and it is undeniably a consequence of that immigration. Not 100%, but maybe 80% are really coming from that. And so yes, that is one of the triggers, but the financial problems, the energy problems, and the society wrong developments are big too. It is a mix of many wrong developments, but yes, immigration is one of the most important.
いや本当に、
本当ですね。
おそらくクラウス・シュワブも
シュワブ。
そう、ドイツ出身ですよね。
ドイツ出身ですよね。シュワブさん。
Actually, he's not. He's a Swiss citizen, but that's German speaking. That's German speaking. Oh no, you're right. No, actually, you're right. You're right. No, I'm sorry. You're right. He is German, and yes, you're right. We're not proud of him. and I think he emigrated to the U.S. Many years ago. Even though his English is worse than ours, definitely. I think he has now stepped down from the what is that world?
世界経済フォーラムですね。
ね、引退しました。
引退しましたよ。
World Economic Forum, yes, and well, there are reasons. It's a power struggle within the World Economic Forum, but he has done so much harm to the world, I should say, because the so-called sustainability goals, which were initially drafted by the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, are just horrible. It's a totalitarian system. If you actually and they sell it euphemistically as positive goals, but ultimately they are not. It's a world that is steered centrally by a sort of unofficial world government, and they want to interfere in our lives, in everything we do, in our finances. Nothing is sacred any longer, not the property rights, not the freedom of movement, and all in the name of whatever, the world temperature 80 years from now, or it all sounds good. They want to fight famine, hunger in the world, but ultimately it is just a big power scheme for very few elitist people who make a lot of money of that, and ultimately they did not help the world.
ですよね。
That's my conviction.
ドイツの人々はクラウス・シュワブについてはどんな印象を持っているんでしょうか。あるいは彼が何をしているかとか、ドイツ人は皆さんご存知なんでしょうか。
Sorry.
人々は彼のことをね知っているんでしょうかね。
That's exactly the point. I don't think that too many people know what exactly the World Economic Forum is doing, and Charles Schwab is not a very sympathetic person, so I don't believe they liked him very much. But 90%, I would say, didn't know him. So it's not too many people who actually know him and to know what influence he had or has. You really have to do some research. The mainstream media in Germany does not sell that honestly to the public. Either it's not being told at all, or it's told the wrong way. These people are good, they do good for the world, and they need more money, they need to be supported. Just imagine, it is a private club, and it is being there's security financed by nation states. Whenever they meet, for example in Davos in Switzerland, where they meet annually, the complete town, and that's a big tourist town in the Davos in the Alps. It is just shut off with national Swiss money, even though these people have no official rank in government. Some of them have, but many are just private businessmen officially. It's just very rich people, and they seem to be able to buy influence and even buy security granted by nation states. Imagine that.
シュワブもドイツ出身ですけど、PCR 詐欺はまたドイツ発祥ですよね。
Is that?
PC ドロスデンでしたっけ ?PCR 詐欺、検査、つまり検査ですよ。コロナ。ね、PCR。
Oh, the PCR test. Yeah, yes. Okay. again, we are not proud of that, but from what I understand, it is a company sitting in Germany, but ultimately I think, the test was not really the problem. I mean, we know the problem was the very idea of that virus, so-called virus, the very idea of testing everybody in that way, only making visible something that otherwise nobody would have remarked. Nobody would have seen COVID as a problem, even if it exists. Right. And I believe it does exist. Something like a virus does exist, I believe. I know that some people don't. But even if it exists, without those millions and millions, billions of tests, the world would never have known that there is a danger out there. That is because people did not die from COVID, they died with COVID, which is a completely different story. You can die with a bruise in your finger, like the one I have here. I could die with this one, but I did not die because of this one then. And that's what they claimed. They told the world millions and millions died from COVID, which is a lie. And yes, the test was a problem, but I think that was even more problematic, and that did, I think, not come from Germany. It came from Pfizer and AstraZeneca and the likes. This was a huge global scandal.
そうですね。